These are 5 fantasy books that I really want to read that I don't see anyone on here talking about. The first one is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I haven't seen a single video on this platform talking about this. I'm kidding. We're going to put down Red Rising now. The first one is actually The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington, which is book 1 in the Lycanius trilogy. Everyone hypes up The Will of the Many, and I feel like this is actually going to be really underrated as his career goes on. I've been told, yes, it is a little bit raw, but what works aren't a little bit raw when you're talking about a debut fantasy author. It's also meant to be very, very dark, and one thing that's unique about this is that the blurb don't tell you shit, and I feel like that's really exciting to me. This is something like draws me in. I'm like, you don't have a blurb? Okay, I want to read you. Then we have Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Yes, Stephen King has talked about a lot on this platform, but one thing I will say is he's not really spoken about within the fantasy genre too much, and especially Fairy Tale, this doesn't really get brought up. When you talk about Stephen King within the fantasy genre, you're talking about The Dark Tower, you're talking about stuff like that, you're talking about old gunslinger shit. And yes, sick, cool, but Fairy Tale is underrated. I'm really excited to continue reading this book. And then we have the Liza Locke Lamora, part of the Gentleman's Bastard series by Scott Lynch. I feel like this book was a few years too early to really blow up on like BookTok and BookTube and stuff like that. This book is not old, by the way. It was published in 2006, so it came out 19 years ago, but it still apparently reads really, really fresh. For context, this book was published in the same year that Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson was published, so it was really, really when we were going into the modern fantasy era. And I feel like for me, this is going to be one of those high-octane, fast-paced heist books that's going to be really, really enjoyable within fantasy. And then we have The Thousand Deaths of Ada Ben by Tyler Whiteside. This book, I don't think I've ever seen a single video on this platform about it. If you guys know me, you know that I love my dynamics between my different characters. That's one of the main things I look for within my fantasy books. And if we're talking bromance tropes, I eat those up. And this is meant to have one of the best bromance tropes for like within fantasy. Your main characters are meant to be morally grey. They're not meant to be necessarily great people inherently, but it's meant to be humorsome, it's meant to be funny, and the dynamics in the characters are meant to be so, so good, so I'm genuinely so excited to pick it up. And then finally, we have The Vagrant by Peter Newman. I'm not gonna lie, I know fuck all about this book, apart from the fact that your main character is actually mute and he doesn't have a single line in this book. Like, how sick is that? So there you have it. Those are 5 fantasy books and fantasy series that I want to read that I haven't heard being spoken about on this platform that much, like, if at all. I feel like so many of you guys who go for my opinions and go for my reviews will really enjoy these kind of books because I feel like these books are up my street. So if you like my reading taste, I'm just saying. Because not everyone wants to read your Robin Hobbs, your Brandon Sanderson, your Robert Jordans, and your R.F. Kuangs. These are some underrated books. Let me know what you think. Have you read any of these? What other underrated books would you say to put on this list? Make sure to like, make sure to follow, and happy goddamn reading.